Hello, my name is James J. I'm here at Uptown Pubhouse to do the annual Bobby Sands Toast. We're doing a little different this year, as everything's been very different for the last 12 months or so. And usually what we will do is we'll have an absolutely packed bar, the 150 plus people jammed in here, and at some point in the afternoon I'll hop up on the bar after we get caught up on Guinnesses across the board, whiskeys across the board, and we'll raise a glass to Bobby Sands, the famous Irish poet and political prisoner who gave his life to protect the other political prisoners in 1981. And so I think this year we're going to do it slightly different, though, since we're not going to have that big crowd. We converted more to a restaurant. It will be a small crowd. And what I'm going to do is I'll do this virtually. So I send this toast out for Bobby Sands to not only the folks that can't be here that are local because of wanting to make sure to be safe and space and that type of thing, but also for our friends that have had to get jobs elsewhere, travel, as far as leave this mountain town for work because of the pandemic. So I send this toast out to them as well, folks that couldn't be here. This has been, we've had several regulars that have passed this last year too, so this toast goes out to them as well. So this is The Rhythm of Time by Bobby Sands. The rhythm of time. There's an inner thing in every man. Do you know the thing, my friend? It has withstood the blows of a million years and will do so in the end. It was born when time did not exist, and it grew up out of life. It cut down evil's strangling vines like a slashing, searing knife. It lit fires when fires were not, and burnt the mind of man, tempering leaden hearts to steel from the time that time began. It wept by the waters of Babylon, and when all men were a loss, it screeched in writhing agony, and it hung bleeding from the cross. It died in Rome by lion and sword, and in defiant cruel array, when the deathly word was Spartacus along the Appian way. It marched what the Tylers pour, and frightened lord and king, and it was emblazoned in the deathly stare as ever a living thing. It died in blood on buffalo plains, and starved by moons of rain. Its heart was buried in wounded knee, but it will come to rise again. It screamed aloud by Kerry Lakes, and it was knelt upon the ground, and it died in great defiance, and they coldly shot it down. It is found in every light of hope. It knows no bounds nor space. It is risen in red and black and white, and it is there in every race. It lies in the hearts of heroes dead. It screams in tyrants' eyes. It has reached the peak of mountain high. It comes searing across the skies. It lights the dark of this prison cell. It thunders forth its might. It is the undauntable thought, my friend, that thought that says, I am right. Now this is originally from a collection that I picked up over at Bookman's, and it's funny, you can see it's like this tiny little staple-bound type of, almost like pamphlet, a little chapbook type of thing. And to me, the amazing part of this is that when Bobby Sands wrote these, not only was he on hunger strike to protect the other prisoners, to bring attention to the conditions in the H blocks, but he would also compose poems. And in just thinking about the awful conditions there that they were in, if there's Michael Fassbender's in a movie called Hunger that's about Bobby Sands. I've heard it's a great movie. I've watched the first couple of minutes, and it just has this sort of very authentic looking sort of cruelty and torture that's going on, and so I turn it off. But if you want to get an idea as far as what the conditions were like, he was writing, and the main thing is he had nothing. I mean, they had blankets, they had no clothes, it's cold, they're starving, that type of thing. He'd still compose poems, he'd keep them in his head, and then after the guards had left in whatever they'd worked out with, knowing when they weren't there, he would say them through the cell doors to the other prisoners. And that was the extent of the life of those poems. They were meant to comfort those other political prisoners, Irish political prisoners. That was it. Folks did actually memorize them, write them down. There was actually a jailbreak a few months after he died. Some of them got out, and then they managed to put together this little pamphlet. And so it's not anything, I don't know how Bookman's managed to acquire this. It's also weird because it wasn't like in the rare books sort of, this is a $5,000 book, although if I had that in my pocket, I would have paid for it. It's a treasure. It just was out with the rest of the stacks for $4.50. I also, at the same time, don't know just could be lost there on that shelf forever. So I was happy to find that. Usually you see, as far as Bobby Sands stuff, he's a little easier to find. You can get some of the stuff that's more about him. He's a fascinating person as far as he was a member of Parliament. So I mean, he was actually a member of Parliament when he was locked up and dying. He was just absolutely, he's a teacher, poet, political activist, IRA member. So I mean, he's just absolutely fascinating guy. So you usually see this one. This one was an odd one. So anyway, that's a little bit different. If you were here in 2019, you would have saw me and Nancy with about a zillion Guinnesses on the bar and just running around like crazy when we took a little break to make that toast. This year, like I said, will be a little bit different in that we'll have 40, 50 people reasonably spaced, that type of thing. We are also, I'll make this announcement now, we are opening at 10 o'clock this morning, so a little bit early. I call it senior shopping, but you don't have to be a retirement age in order to come in. If anyone, any of the locals want to come in and see what we're doing for a little bit, you can at least get maybe one or two in before it gets a little too crowded for your comfort. So hope that's the case. It's to Bobby Sands. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. Sláinte.